Hello and welcome to Video Revealed. I'm Colin Smith. This is something I call opening sequences and project confusion. Now, part of what I do is I listen to my viewers out there when they come back and they ask me a question that I never would have thought of that is something, a point of confusion. But obviously it is. So then I create a tutorial to remove that confusion. And this is about opening multiple projects at the same time and how difficult it is to figure out what you have open. You want my recommendation? Don't open multiple projects. I mean, unless you have to, and if you're fine with doing that, okay. But I just find it hard to understand which project am I working on? Which one is the front? Where's the things that I need to do? When I have one project open, I only have one project panel, one group of assets, one. But Premiere Pro lets you work in multiple ways. So let's start by having a project already open, and then I'll open multiple projects. So here's a typical project, and I've created these with completely different assets just to make it easy to see. Here's our abandoned building. And you can see this is the project panel that normally lives down here in the bottom when you're in your editing workspace. So this is where I typically look for all of my assets. Now, you can just open another project by choosing File, Open Project. If it's a recent project, it'll show up here, but I'm going to open my project. And I've got fire and puppies. So I have got three completely separate assets on the timeline. So the timeline is going to be easier for us to see when we have different stuff open. So let's open up the fire and see what happens. So what happened is the timeline jumped to the last point I had open here, and it added another tab in the timeline, which you can close and either of these. In the left-hand side, this is the list of all of the panels that are open in this side. And here's one of the problems. The panels can be switched from the front and the back, and they can be switched. They can be completely off screen. That's what this little double arrow is here. It'll show you all of the other stuff that you have in this group. And you can use your scroll wheel to get through this, but I mean, it's pretty crazy. So this isn't as bad. There's two here. There's the project fire and the abandoned building. Notice when I click here, it's not changing them over here. It's not the same as doing this. Let's open up another one. Open up my puppies. So now we have three here. This is opening up each one of the timelines with completely different assets. Okay, I mean, come on, look at those guys. All right, so the confusing thing for me anyway is I've got animals open, but I've got fire open over here. There's no connection whatsoever. Even worse, watch this. When I click on fire, I don't see fire. And this was one of the things that someone asked me about that I had no idea it would be confusing, but it obviously is. How do you get fire open from the project panel? Double click it. Now it's already open here. So if I double click, it's going to open that panel, that timeline. If I close that one and double click here, it's going to open it. If I go back over here, it's going to open it. If I close that one, I'm opening it. But I have to double click on these to open them. Now I've got three projects open. And if I go to my media browser and maybe I go to my effects or something over here, how do I know where's this is part of the confusion. I don't know how to solve this. And I think this is caused by Premiere Pro was never designed to have multiple projects open for the longest time, for like 20 years. But people requested it because other editing programs could do that. So Adobe just made it happen. They said, all right, here's multiple projects open. But now you can't find it. Because if I was, where would I think of it? I would think of it in the window menu. Now, yes, there is a projects menu command here, but it's buried and it has the projects buried in them. Other programs have all the project names at the bottom of the menu. Bottom line is, people find this confusing. But because everything is meshed together, it's harder to find. It's good that you can steal parts of other projects and put them in here, but boy, oh boy, don't feel bad if you're completely confused by having multiple projects open. Now, what you can do is you can pop this open and you can reveal sequence in project, and it will take you all the way to that sequence and show you where it is. So let's go back to the animals. And that's the little flyout menu here. Reveal sequence in project. So I can get to them very easily that way, but I still find it hard to get to. So here's our fire project. Here's our abandoned house project. You'll notice that when I switch to them here, it's also switching the program monitor. That's typically the way Premiere Pro works. There is a source panel here, source monitor. And what I could do is I could drag the fire into here. So I am looking at a completely different sequence in each one of these monitors. Now, I do have another tutorial about opening this all with keyboard shortcuts. It's something Avid users are really used to, and I'll link that at the end in the description, where you can have keyboard shortcut to drop that in there, put that. But I could take pieces of this now, and I could drag that in to this sequence here. So now I've got the abandoned building and the fire at the same time. It's a nested sequence. If I don't want the nested sequence, I could turn this off, and I could now drag this media down in here in all of its pieces. So I've just now grabbed this from the fire part, the fire sequence. I can now close this sequence here. Now, let's try to close just the fire sequence. So I've got that project panel in the foreground. I'll go to the file menu and I'll close project. And the fire, it's asking me to save it. I don't want to save. Is the fire still in here? Yes, it's still in here, because the operation of dragging from the source monitor into this timeline is just copying the assets. And you'll see it copied in the folder, it copied in other stuff that I needed in here. So yes, that is useful to import things that way. And if you want to just close everything, you can go to the file menu, close all projects, or you can close all other projects. Ooh, let's try this. Close all other projects. Now I only have one project open, and I've got all my assets in here. So like I said, no hard and fast rules. If you like working with multiple projects open, go ahead. I hate it. I find it really confusing. And also, if you find it confusing, but you thought it was you, it ain't you. Adobe just hasn't given us a good, easy way to know and how to work with, oh, this one's in the front. Oh, that one's in the front. Because these panels, you can have multiple panels open. How do you know which one is the project? Hey, if you're new to Video Revealed and you found this informative, take a moment and subscribe. It means a lot to us. If you want to support us some more, like all of our wonderful donors out there, you can do that on videorevealed.com/shop. Donate once, monthly, any amount. There's a members section, lots of free stuff for you to download. Till next time, I'm Colin Smith, and it's my job to listen to all of my viewers out there and get rid of all of the confusion that they have with the ways that Premiere Pro can work.